What truly makes you happy? Let's take a moment to ponder on that question. Happiness, a simple word, yet it holds different meanings for different people. It's a concept that has been chased, studied, and debated for centuries, and still, we find ourselves asking, what is happiness? Happiness, in its broadest sense, is a state of well-being and contentment. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you're surrounded by loved ones, or that moment of pure joy when you achieve a long-sought goal. But is that all there is to happiness? There are many misconceptions about happiness out there. Some people think that happiness is all about having a lot of money, owning a big house, or driving a fancy car. Others believe that happiness comes from achieving perfect health or finding the perfect partner. But if we look closely, we'll find that these things, although they can contribute to our happiness, don't guarantee it. This brings us to an interesting concept called hedonic adaptation. Ever noticed how, after a while, the thrill of a new purchase or the excitement of a new relationship starts to fade? That's hedonic adaptation in action. It's the tendency of humans to return to a stable level of happiness, despite major positive or negative events in their lives. Alongside this, there's the happiness set point theory. Much like a thermostat set at a certain temperature, we all have a happiness set point that we tend to gravitate back to. Whether we win the lottery or lose a job, over time, our happiness levels tend to return to this set point. These concepts might seem a bit disheartening at first, but they actually hold a powerful message about the nature of happiness. It's not something that we can chase and capture. It's not a destination that we reach and then dwell in forever. So, as we delve deeper into the science of happiness, remember this: happiness is not a destination, but a journey. Did you know there's a formula for happiness? Yes, you heard that right. It might sound a bit mathematical, but don't worry. We won't be diving into any complex equations today. Instead, we'll be exploring a simple yet profound formula. H equals S plus C plus V. Let's break that down. H stands for happiness, the feeling we're all seeking, the state of being we all aspire to. It's that warm, content feeling that makes life feel worth living. But what makes up this happiness? That's where S, C, and V come in. S stands for set point. This is your baseline level of happiness. Think of it as your happiness thermostat. It's largely determined by your genetics and personality, and it's surprisingly stable throughout your life. Even after significant life events, people tend to return to their set point. It's like a happiness home base. Next up is C, which stands for conditions of living. This includes your health, your income, your environment, and your relationships. These conditions can have a significant impact on your happiness. For instance, a comfortable living environment or a fulfilling relationship can boost your happiness levels. However, it's important to remember that these conditions are often temporary. They can change, and so can their impact on your happiness. Finally, we have V for voluntary activities. These are the things you choose to do, the actions you take to boost your happiness. This could be anything from going for a run, reading a book, spending time with loved ones, or even simply taking a moment to breathe and be present. These activities are entirely within your control, and they can have a profound impact on your happiness. So, happiness equals set point plus conditions of living plus voluntary activities. Each of these components interacts with each other, and together they shape our overall happiness. By understanding this formula, we can start to see how we might adjust our conditions and choose our activities to boost our happiness levels. Understanding this formula can help us make choices that increase our happiness. So, let's use this knowledge to our advantage, shall we? After all, who doesn't want a bit more happiness in their life? How much of our happiness is actually in our control? As it turns out, science has been trying to answer that very question. Research has shown that our genes play a significant role in determining our happiness. But how does this work? Well, it all starts with what's known as our happiness set point. Think of it as the default level of happiness that we tend to return to, regardless of life's ups and downs. Studies suggest that a whopping 50% of this happiness set point is determined by our genetics. Yes, you heard it right. Half of our baseline happiness comes from our DNA. This is based on fascinating research on identical twins who, despite being raised apart, often report similar levels of happiness. This suggests that our genes significantly shape our innate capacity for joy. So if you're naturally a glass-half-full kind of person, you might just have your genes to thank. But here's the good news. Genetics isn't destiny. The same studies that highlight the influence of genes also show that about 40% of our happiness is influenced by our daily activities and the conscious choices we make. This means we have a significant degree of control over our happiness. Whether it's deciding to cultivate positive habits, choosing to view challenges as opportunities, or making an effort to connect with others, these actions can significantly shift our happiness set point. In fact, scientists believe that with consistent effort, we can rewire our brains to be more positive and resilient, regardless of our genetic predispositions. So while our genes might set the stage, it's our actions, attitudes, and perspectives that truly direct the play. Our genes might provide the basic blueprint, but we're the architects of our own joy. We have the power to shape our happiness, to build on our genetic foundation, and to create a life that is rich in joy and fulfillment. While our genes may provide a happiness blueprint, it's up to us to build the house. Can we train ourselves to be happier? This question may seem a bit abstract, but the field of positive psychology has some fascinating insights to offer. Positive psychology, a relatively new branch of psychology, focuses on promoting mental well-being rather than just treating mental illness. It's all about creating an enriching life filled with meaning and happiness. This field has conducted extensive research on practices like gratitude, mindfulness, and other interventions that can effectively increase our happiness levels. Gratitude, for instance, is more than just saying thank you. It's about recognizing the good in our lives and appreciating it. When we regularly practice gratitude, it ignites the part of our brain associated with positive emotions, making us feel happier and more content. A simple practice like maintaining a gratitude journal can make a substantial difference in our daily happiness. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is about being present and engaged in the moment, fully conscious of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. When we're mindful, we're able to savor every moment, reducing stress and anxiety, and increasing our overall happiness. This could be as simple as noticing the taste of your morning coffee, or the feel of wind against your skin. Then there are other positive psychology interventions like acts of kindness, positive self-talk, and goal setting, which have all been shown to boost happiness. These practices help us shift our focus from what's wrong in our lives to what's right. But does this mean we should ignore the negatives? Absolutely not. It's about acknowledging them, but not letting them dominate our thoughts. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the positive, even when things get tough. This shift in focus doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, a muscle that we need to build and flex regularly. By adopting these positive psychology practices, we can train our brain to be happier. We become more resilient, more optimistic, and more joyful. It's a powerful tool that we all have access to, and it can make a significant difference in our lives. By consciously choosing to focus on the positive, we can shift our happiness set point. So, what have we learned about the science of happiness? Well, we've journeyed through the complex landscape of joy, exploring its many facets and dimensions. We've dissected the happiness formula, an equation that beautifully encapsulates the secret ingredients of our bliss. It tells us that happiness equals our set point, plus our circumstances, plus our voluntary activities. This formula is a gentle reminder that while our circumstances may sway our happiness to some extent, it's our actions and mindset that hold the real power. We've delved into the role of genetics, acknowledging that our genes do play a significant part in our happiness. But it's important to remember that our genetic makeup isn't the sole determinant of our happiness. Our genes might set the baseline, but it's our choices and experiences that can tip the scales. From there, we navigated the power of positive psychology. It's a beacon of hope that illuminates the path to happiness, encouraging us to focus on our strengths rather than our weaknesses, to cultivate gratitude, and to foster positive relationships. It's a perspective that empowers us to take control of our happiness, to shape and mold it in ways that resonate with our individual lives. But perhaps the most crucial point to remember is that while we may not have control over all factors influencing our happiness, we can take steps to increase our overall well-being. Whether it's through mindfulness practices, developing a growth mindset, or simply choosing to embrace the positive, we have the power to enhance our happiness. In this journey of understanding happiness, we've discovered that it is not a static state, but a dynamic process. It's an ongoing pursuit that requires conscious effort, personal growth, and a positive outlook. In the grand scheme of life, happiness isn't about the destination, but the journey we undertake.